Hey everyone, my name is Tim Smith. This is the Chef Infra client triage for April 6th. I think mostly we're just going to look at Chef client itself today, and we don't have a lot of stuff because we've been triaging pretty well, which is great. So let me share off my screen here and we can take a look at that repo. Firefox. All right, so Chef. Let me start with PRs because those are the most fun. All right, at the top, we got 9609. I was looking at this earlier. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot of typos, which are great. It's the best kind of typos too, like the typos in error messages. A lot of them are just comments, but there's a few of them that are actually typos that are in error messages. And I did notice one more place, which is where I left a comment, this one here, where we should probably be using the dist value. We missed one. And this is interesting. I don't think that was working, I assume. But other than the dist stuff, it looks pretty straightforward. Yeah, best kind of typos. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts on that. I don't know how we got an extra S in options. There's a few things that we typo a lot. Exceptions. A lot. Yeah. This is why I need Pete. He would find all of those.
I was just thinking, like, is there, if there's typos in comments or error messages, I mean, that's not like too terrible, but
yeah,
something like a typo in the initialize method, like that's pretty bad. Maybe that would be
really
a
not
good
working.
idea to set up some kind of spell checker thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I reached out and asked him, like, were you using an editor extension for this? I suspect that he didn't just go and read the entirety of the Chef code base. I hope not.
Wait, I mean the automate has like a spell checking thing built into it, and it was, I mean, painful at first just because there was lots of little things, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. So I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe something to think about.
I know that like the docs team had talked about some stuff they were using in VS Code for a while, and I used to have one that was pretty handy that was on Atom, but I never got it to work on VS Code. That was pretty handy for fixing stuff in all the Markdown. But yeah, I would love if there's a good VS Code editor for particularly the comments, like that should be easy. I don't want it to blow up builds, but when I'm in a file, it'd be nice to red squiggly Office 97 some stuff so I can right click on it and either add it into a local dictionary or whatever. And if we just had a VS Code directory, then you can just stick the local dictionary in there and be done with it. But yeah, we'll see what he used for that. That would be pretty cool to not ship typos like that again. Options with 2 S's. Stuff's embarrassing. The other one, this one's not quite done. This exposed some issues, but I did a little bit of refactoring on some other things in addition to the caching of the gems. This is just more like getting us to better scripts. All of our Expire scripts need some serious refactoring because they were, cobbled together in a hurry to get us onto Bokite. But this was setting the path on all our bundle installs into vendor directory and then caching that vendor directory. This is just that same functionality that we had before in the script that I wrote with Ryan and Maya, but now it's part of Expire itself. It doesn't work because there's some permissions issues. Hopefully we get that fixed today. But other than the permissions issues, it is a significant speed up. It's pretty nice where it does work. I also cleaned up a few things like the quoting and capitalization and all the version output stuff is all in the same place now, which makes it a lot easier to just be like, what does this system look like? And you can just expand one tab and see like This is the Docker version. This is the Docker status. This is all that. That cleaned up quite a bit of this. These things were also just like, they didn't tell you what they were. So they were really hard to read in the logs. Like, what am I looking at right now? Now it's a lot more obvious. I am a little concerned though. One thing I wanted to circle back with Roland on. I don't think this IPv6 stuff works at all. It throws an error if you look in the logs. There's like permissions there trying to touch this config. So I think that we can probably just take this out because it's not doing anything. All it seems to be doing is stopping Docker, waiting for the entirety of the shutdown, getting the permissions error, trying to edit a config, and then starting Docker back up. So might as well take that out. Yeah, that is this one. It's pretty exciting.
Wait. So that's probably causing our IPv6 test not to run.
Probably.
So like that probably doesn't need to be deleted. It needs to be fixed.
Well, we should get it fixed then. But either way, I don't think it's actually working. So either we take it out or we make it work. But it's not. It doesn't look like it's working unless the error is like, I don't know. I can't see how a file error would be okay there.
Yeah, I mean, we probably in our tests we probably got guards around that. So if it doesn't detect IPv6, they don't run. So they're probably just not running.
The thing, like, it also feels like this is probably the wrong place to do this because, like, we're installing Docker onto these AMIs that is what we're using for all this testing as an organization.
Right.
Like, why don't we just enable IPv6 in the AMI and not have to stop and start Docker every time?
Sure.
Like, this seems like an extra 40 seconds of work on every build that we don't need to do. It also probably isn't working. Yeah, I was gonna get an issue created to Relenge today to figure out why that's not working. But the joys of finding more things. One little tweak I thought resulted in 2 bugs. Fun times. I bet when we turn those IPv6 tests on too, they won't work. So there's also that. I think this one can just get merged, maybe. BTM's still working on this. Yeah. We should definitely merge this. This looks good. Yeah, BTM's running into the same problem that we had with all the other stuff where rel 6 and FFI gem in kitchen are not friends. Probably not worth it for Chef 14. I wouldn't spend any more time on that personally, but the 15 backport is a pretty straightforward one. This is just all the stuff that BTM was working on to get our Ruby installations fixed up. This all seems like a hack still to me. I wonder if the better way to do this is actually to do it with Chocolatey. I was asking today, and it turns out we do have Chocolatey on these systems out of the box, which means we could just take, and the reason we didn't do it with Chocolatey is because there isn't a versioned Ruby Chocolatey artifact. It seems like instead of this whole mess where it never works and we still have to manage the file and do this all on our own, that we could literally just create the Chocolatey packages for Ruby 2.5, 2.6, and 2.7 and just stick them up in the Chocolatey repo. And then we could just Choco install them. And then all the permissions would just magically go away. Also, we wouldn't have to host stuff in S3, which would make it a little cheaper for us because we wouldn't be getting it out of our own bucket. Be getting it out of Chocolatey's bucket. Yeah, so that fixes the problem for now, probably, but I don't think that's the final solution. Do you want to look at the swap action stuff in Yum package, Lamont? I don't know if Jason got back to you on any of that stuff.
That hasn't been updated for 11 days.
Yeah. Well, we can put whatever the... where's my home? There. throw that in there. This one got updated a whole bunch with some helpers and stuff, and I didn't respond to it on purpose because I thought this. I wasn't sure if this came out of a private conversation you had about how you wanted this to happen, or if this was just like totally off in a different direction.
That looks weird.
I wasn't entirely sure what he was trying to do with this.
Okay, command line to arg VW helper. Yeah, so we need to do something like that, but that looks a little weird. Yeah, I don't. Right now, I don't know.
I want to look at that. It's got like, you know, all kinds of FFI and all kinds of. I was like, I don't know what we're trying to solve with this, but sure,
it's going to be scary. So
yeah, it would be a really good one to fix, particularly because Chocolatey is pretty busted right now for anybody setting options, and we need that for desktop-y stuff. So yeah. That one we got back to them on, it hasn't been updated. I think everything else is just.
No, yeah, if you do like least recently or most recently or whatever. So your multi-package support to Homebrew.
I updated that. I need to figure out how to test it. Looked at it this weekend and realized my brain was a little fried and that it was going to require me to actually sit down and think about RSpec, which I'm just terrible at. But this is one I would really like to get in so that when somebody goes, oh, when did that? That's not the one. When did that?
Isn't there a third one that you're supposed to use?
Third one?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? Like this works locally. If I create a test.rb file or whatever and just try to install a single package, try to install multiple packages, it works. Yeah, as it says here, like versions are not really a thing in Chocolatey at all. It's just it's latest, right? So the version, all that mess goes away. It's like there's not much to this really.
Right. It shouldn't be that hard to write.
I just need to test it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just skimming it, sure.
I'll be honest, like when I read this, I'm like, did I even write this? I don't even remember writing this, but it's because it's from like a year ago. Like, I don't remember how any of this works. I need to actually look at what I did again and remember the problem space and then remember how to test it. But there is the meat of it is this package info parsing and brew info stuff that's different now because we're looking for multiple inputs.
The one thing I would say is that your brew helper is almost useless.
Which one?
Like, helpers with one line like that are kind of useless. Line 79.
79?
Yeah.
This one? The one that was there already?
Oh, yeah, it is there already. Yeah, that's pretty useless.
What does that even do?
But anyway. Yeah, I wasn't looking at your diff.
Yeah, that's pretty useless. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I didn't write that, but
yeah, okay.
That seems pretty useless. A good number of these seem pretty useless to me, to be honest. But
yeah, there's a whole bunch of like when you have one-line methods, like that should probably get ripped out.
Yeah.
Like I add brew and then I pass it to the thing which does all the stuff, just like jam it in there.
Yeah. So at some point I got to figure out how to test this. It's definitely something that should ship in 16. It would kind of round out that multi-package support for all the major OSs stuff, which would mean you could just use it. Because right now there's like a lot of like sous chefs stuff will be like, oh, if you're on everything but Mac OS, like just give it an array, and if you're not, like then take that array and like build the array of packages, and it's a terrible set of like case statements and defensive code you have to put in for that. I would love to just get rid of all that stuff. But yeah, feel free to tell me if there's anything other than that seems terrible in it.
Yeah, really. I mean, this kind of looks like it does the stuff.
It does the stuff. It seems like it works. Yeah.
It's probably good enough to ship in 15M, certainly.
It would probably be a good one to, if we ship it in 16 and it doesn't explode the world, to backport that so that we can be like, oh, 15.10
Right.
supports multi-package too.
Could both go back once we get to 16.1 or 2 or something like
There's
that.
a few things that I think we backport that and the DNF stuff, and I want to make sure all the helpers are backported just so people can actually use them.
Right.
Just makes the upgrades easier. Yeah, I think that's all we have to look at. Oh, there was a question about whether this is probably a good one to look at. A318. This was whether we want to introduce this deprecation into 16.0. Probably want to get a cook style rule for this, but the idea here is that the Windows service start was kind of misleading. It did a lot more than start. It did a bunch of config, and it caused a lot of issues historically. And this is part of the process. The process has already started, but this is like the next step in getting people onto the dedicated action to do the config side of it, and not just start.
Okay, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Not being a Windows person, I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
I mean, it's not really a Windows problem. It's more just like a chef. Like, we fucked a chefism up here. Like, our verb was not really true. When people were running that start, they were really running a start and a configure. And now this is going to force them to be like, I'm doing what I really want to do is configure the service and start the service. And if I just say start, eventually I'm not going to change properties on it. So I can't just say like service, whatever, Win32 time. I can't change the user as it runs as in a start action, because that breaks that verb. So that's just bad design on our part, really.
Well,
there was a bunch of places where this was causing issues, where like somebody would just start something and the question was, should we be modifying it as we start it? And we like half did that in certain places and half didn't in other places.
I mean, so this is where chef should have always not had any verbs at all, right? So philosophically, we should be writing declarative resources, and there shouldn't be anything that's a verb. You should write a description, which is all nouns, and then your verb should be go fix it all.
So like each resource is one action kind of thing?
Yeah, our actions should all just be fix it.
Okay.
Right? There should be no run or enable or start or configure.
Yes.
Just fix it, right?
Yeah, the problem is like we have those, and
you should describe the state that you're supposed to go to.
And start.
Right. So
like the start behavior on Windows is a little different than it is in other places in the chef.
Yeah, but still, like if you have start, generally the way that we interpret that is that the service should be running, right? So if you have a whole bunch of descriptions in your properties and you do action start, it's like you want all of those things to be true, and then you want the service to be running at the end of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to go dig out the historical reasons why this was causing a bunch of problems. This goes back to like Chef 13 or 14.
Sure, but like it doesn't make sense to start it and have a bunch of properties set. Like if you have the run as set, right, and you say start, you should fix the run as user, right? Because having it start and not obeying that property is also wrong.
Yeah.
Like I would consider that a bug, right? If I have run as whoever and then I do action start, why didn't you fix it if it runs as the user? Right, you look at the
we
verb,
should ask Jason about that then.
If you look at the verb, it might not make sense, right? But from a chef perspective, like ignoring that property, the run as user also deeply doesn't make any sense.
comment on that. We should figure out which way to go. But like right now we're like a quarter way or a third way maybe into splitting them. And if we don't want to split them, like now's the time to say like, nope, that was a bug. Let's figure out how to refactor all the code. Because like the Win32 service itself got refactored. A bunch of the methods got split out to not where start doesn't trigger reconfigures. There was, yeah, and there's reasons for it. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but
I sort of remember us getting bit by something along these lines in the way past. I think we had configured it to run as a certain user, or it was configured to run one way, and then we did a start and it got changed unexpectedly. We were kind of having an expected behavior to, I'm trying to remember the words to use here. Whatever it was running as at that moment in time, when we did an action, we expected that user to continue to be used, and it was getting changed out from underneath of us somehow. I don't know if that's triggering any recall on your guys' side at all, but that's the way I'm currently remembering it.
yeah, I think like part of the question, maybe it's similar to that, was that there was people that were upset that like when they would put a start action and the user was wrong, that would trigger a restart, right? Because it would have to change the user.
Yeah, or
which like, is like the right thing on the eventual set, but not like what they necessarily want for their service.
Why is the run as user wrong though on the property?
I think the default user was like system.
Yeah.
There was an issue where if you defined the service in one place, oh, okay, I do remember the bug now. I remember the bug. What would happen is this. So somebody would define a service in one place.
Right.
And yes, we can say this is wrong, but like, then we need to figure out how to get people off this. Lamont's probably going to be like, this is buggy and terrible. So you would like define a service and you would say its run as user was like Tim, right?
Right.
And you would spin it up and it would be like, cool, it's the Tim service. And then you would like trigger a start on it somewhere else, but you didn't define the run as service name there. And it would try to reconfigure it back to system.
Yes, so that was it. It didn't reuse the user it was defined as.
And it was burning everyone. And they were like, this is not what I want.
That is a bug where that should be nil by default, right? And you should not try and fix it. And only if you're trying to configure a new like an entirely new service, when you haven't been given the run as user, so there's no current resource run as user.
Yeah.
Then you should go, well, I need something, so let's use system, right?
So if that's the state we want to go into, and that seems fine to me. Like there was a bunch of reasons. This is the onion of how we're managing these services, right? There's like how Chef interprets state and makes a state change, and then also like the Win32 service gem. So like a bunch of stuff got changed in there. Jason refactored a bunch of stuff to like clean up a ton of edge cases that we had. If we want to be a little more like nil is the default, system is the default, if I don't know, like some magic, right? Some magic so that system gets used when it should be.
Yeah.
We should fix that. I'm fine with that. But like,
I'm in the middle of writing words about that.
Yeah, I mean, we should have a conversation with Jason then about where he sees the problem and how we could get there, because he did a ton of work to try to fix a bunch of edge cases we had in this, like maybe a year and a half ago. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the issue. Was like you would end up back as the system user, unless you were super defensive in your coding.
The default though on Windows is to create services as the system user.
Yeah.
Even if you don't change anything, so potentially just changing it to nil. When you create a user without specifying it, it will when you create a service without specifying it, it should create it as the system or as whatever Windows would say is the default.
Right. Yeah. Well, let Windows pick the default. Sure.
That's what I would want, right?
Yeah. It's less for Chef to care about. It's whatever Windows on that version says is the default. Go shout at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Or specify it. There are your
When
options.
I wonder if, like, is that when you make that WMI call that you don't have to specify that? Because under the hood, I'm sure this is all just a WMI call.
I've always used PowerShell in new service because it just works and it's really simple.
Yeah.
Or sc.exe. Both are very simple.
Maybe the real solution here is to convert our service resource to just use PowerShell.
PowerShell or SC will make your life easier.
Yeah, SC didn't get us all the stuff we needed, but I remember we used to use SC at one point.
But you will have a problem with PowerShell in the fact that I think Server 2012 doesn't support all the same things on the service commandlets that 2016 and 2019 do because it's Windows.
Then we're still. When does 2012 go away? When can I? Probably not fair, right? 2012 UL.
R2, mate, not 2012.
Oh, extended. Don't do this. Microsoft, killing me here. Yeah, I mean, like I hope that most of the people that were on 2012 just made the leap to R2, but we can't assume that, unfortunately. Same way that like Windows 2008 non-R2 died super quick because everyone realized it was terrible. $2023.
When's R2 die as well? Because that one's not that much better.
The same date. 2023. I think that's the extension. They just made them match.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're not going to get around that anytime soon then. So we have to fix it in the gem for the next 3 years. Yay. I think I feel like 2012 is going to be the thing that's going to burn us in a bunch of places because all this conversion we've done of things to PowerShell, like it's going to be subtly different in a bunch of places in 2012. We either have to just be like, or we have to do some terrible defensive coding again. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we had that conversation then, since Lamont has opinions. Do we want to look at Ojai? I know there's at least one PR in Ojai. I assume yours is not ready for any sort of review, Pete?
He had to bow out on, if you look at the chat, I think.
Well, then I'll take it as a no. Yeah, so the one that came in, this was one that I signed over to our buddy Phil. This was an issue that I ran into when I was pulling Ojai data, actually. And that is that on the classic Amazon AMIs, like a certain range of them, not even all of them, but like 2013 to like 2015 or something, they weren't returning shard data. And the reason they weren't returning shard data is because the shard plugin uses DMI data, and those don't have DMI decode, apparently. And it would just fail silently because like most things in Ojai, Ojai like rescues the world. So if any plugin ever has an error, if it throws any sort of stack trace or anything, like Ojai will just rescue that within that plugin, fail that plugin, and continue on to the next plugin. So unless you're running in like debug mode, you'll never see that like the plugin explode in your face. So I asked Phil to take a look at that. I think this mostly does it. I wonder if we should be testing this scenario or if we just don't care, to be honest. But it's a little more defensive about looking at that DMI data, and then it's going to give you at least some logging. So if you're looking at your logs, you'll see that you didn't get DMI data. Again, I think this only applies to like old versions of Amazon Linux. Most every operating system in a full-blown system comes with DMI decode.
Except for PowerPC Little India.
What? Those don't count though.
That's why I have issues with it, and I need to look and see what.
The thing that also doesn't come with DMID code ever, which was super frustrating to me historically, is FreeBSD. They like do not think that is a necessary package, which means there's a lot of lacking OHI data in FreeBSD. But why do they? Is it just does it work? Can you install it?
Nope, it's against. You can't build it. It doesn't have the same endpoints because it's because of how they do the architecture on the system. It's completely different.
Okay. Cool. Is it like one of those weird? What was? Am I dating myself? The chirp systems that Apple came up with back in the day. Right.
No, they have an Opal firmware layer that you can talk to, and it presents some stuff to Cis. And I have an OHI plugin that I have a little bit to do. Oh, I do stuff with processor information on that, but
yeah, we heavily rely on DMI. So without that, you're not getting much data back.
Yeah. You'll probably be seeing some patches from me on this at some point to help with that.
Okay. Cool. Do we have a build for that? Even like a chef build?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's our like official PowerPC builds that you're running.
Yep, I'm using the official one.
Fancy. Yeah, we should make those work then. Turns out platform support's hard. Yeah, I think that's all we have to look at. Unless anybody has anything they want to bring it up.
PowerShell package,
PowerShell
and the fact
package.
it's marking. I've not raised a case.
Not that
So
one.
it's marking as no update when the underlying PowerShell blows up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because the PowerShell gallery now requires a minimum of TLS 1.2.
Cool.
I spent 2 hours on this today, and I've seen multiple comments over the weekend in Chef.
Do you know the thing that that is? I'm fairly certain we ran into that on our build pipeline because there was some issue on our build pipeline where I saw them like putting a change in that was like forcing something to deal with.
Security protocols equals security protocols TLS 1.2.
Yeah. So I think our RHEL Edge team actually ran into that on our Windows builders.
So
yeah, we should. If you want to get an issue for that, we should raise that one. That's an important one to fix. So,
yeah,
is that
I
just
guess
2012 to where that's probably a problem?
no, this was on 2016.
Oh, even worse.
Yes, so the default PowerShell TLS support is SLv3, TLS 1.0, and TLS 1.1.
Yeah.
The only way to get it over to TLS 1.2 through not doing inline hacks like you've seen is to change a registry key that changes every single .NET application to not support TLS.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
What's the inline hack?
It'd be the one that's documented everywhere because most people don't know the reg key exists. It's all in general chat from this morning anyway.
Yeah, I saw the back scroll and I was like, oh, I'll probably see an issue for that. Yeah, we'll probably have to do some inline hack, which will be some probably terrible helper. I mean, yeah. We can add that kind of stuff to PowerShell exec as an option that you turn off that probably defaults to true or something.
Yeah, I think we need to support TLS 1.2. The annoying thing is 2019 is actually set sane in the fact it supports modern TLS.
I would hope so. It's 2019.
It's also Microsoft.
That's also true.
Cool. I'll get something knocked together for that one.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I'm going to have time to actually fix it.
I'll have to think about how to fix that in the best way.
Yeah. My natural idea is just to hack the line on top of it to get it out the door now and working. But the problem is it's broken everything historically in Chef. So unless you're on the latest, you're still going to be a bit screwed.
Yeah, if we come up with a solution, we can backport it to at least a 15.
Yeah.
There's only so much 14. You can do when like vendors break stuff.
Yeah.
14 is probably going to ship today.
Yeah, I haven't got another 3 months to do testing on it.
Yeah, you should get on that.
You do love trolling me, mate.
You should get on it right as it goes into life.
Oh, I'm
It'll
on
be
14.
less end of life, which is good. That's always really great when you talk to a vendor and you're You're not on like Chef 12 or something.
Oh no, I'm on 14. I'm just not allowed to upgrade unless I validated the latest version works against
Oh.
every single thing.
Okay.
So it's at least a sane reason.
Okay, you're better then. That's not terrible.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So other than that, do we have anything else we need to look at? Probably not. Going once, going twice. Sold. Thanks for coming, Jason. Thanks for coming, Lance. Thanks for coming, Steven. Glad to see you all.
Thanks for coming, Benny.
Thanks for being here.
Benny gets paid to be here.
Not.
That doesn't count. All right. Thanks for coming, people who are not getting paid by Chef. And others.
Hi.
And everyone else.